Hey there. So today I just wanted to talk about some knives, and these aren't just any regular knives. These are my knives. I say they're my knives because I made them. So um, I bought a regular used kitchen knife from a reuse zone for like $1, and with those width and length, this was like a pretty big kitchen knife that was, old and well used, but it had a full tang, so I know that I could have a nice sized handle, and it would be stainless steel, and it would be just a good small little knife. So that's what I did with this one. I used my own grind that I put on this. I made my own jig, filing jig. I used a couple blocks of wood, propped up a stick, and attached a file to the stick so that it would create a consistent grind, blade grind on this knife. So it's a Scandi grind or saber grind, but there's another sharpening bezel on the end, on just the tip of the blade. So there's this, what you see here, saber grind, and then on the very edge I put an edge on that. You can see it right there. So it's pretty sharp, it's pretty cool. It was fun making it, and the handle choice is, as you can tell, or maybe not, but it's leather. I used leather slabs, glued them right on there, and so I haven't used it that much, but it's pretty comfortable. It looks kind of cool, to me at least, but and it's pretty sharp. So that was the second knife I made. The first knife I made, I put it in a sheath. So the sheath I made as well, and it is pretty cool. So I styled it after a Japanese wood carpenter's knife, I think. But this one has only one grind on it, you could say. This side looks better than this side. So I I didn't use a jig for this one. I was just filing it myself with my hands. And so, this side turned out pretty good, but this side didn't turn out as well. But it's slightly curved on the back here. This is the highest point of this back part here, and there's a slight curve between this point and this point. There's a slight curve in there, like that, and as you can see, this curves up here more so at the end. So this I also sharpened with my sharpening system down to 1000 grit on this angle. So this is the blade. This is the sharpened secondary bevel, I guess you could say. But I thought that was kind of cool too, is that this is what I sharpened away with my sharpening system. And this one is pretty dang sharp too. I think it's sharper than that one. But as you can see, this one was a little bit smaller kitchen knife, but it was just a kitchen knife, and it was serrated. And I, took my angle grinder and cut off the end and cut in a bit here and cut that off there. So that made quick work of cutting. Same thing with this knife. I used the angle grinder to cut that and go in there and cut that off and cut that. But that was kind of where I stopped using the angle grinder. I think I used some of it in here, and in here I used it, but that was to remove a lot of the material. If I knew I had to remove a lot of material, I would use that to get a real rough job done. But after that, I used hand files. So I used hand files to carve out these and to sharpen this and that, and flat files, round files, triangular files. I did them all. So it's good practice. If you're wanting to make your own knives, I'd suggest try making some knives out of some cheap kitchen knives that you can buy at a reuse zone. You can go there, buy a handful of them for like $5. Some good sized ones. You know, you want to look for the full tang, and you can try carving, putting a grind on knives, toning your skills, practicing techniques, experimenting with shapes and what's comfortable and what's a good ratio and what's a good size. So this is an experimental practice knife that's fun, and you can get something cool out of it. I really like this knife. I think it's cool, and it is really sharp, so I love this. It's not like I carry this around every day with me, but I have carried this around before, especially, you know, since I have a sheath that I made for it. And again, same principle applied. This was a practice sheath that I wanted to mount these so that the knife would ride, you know, slightly at an angle as opposed to perfectly horizontal. And I realized that I should have mounted these then at an angle too if I wanted that. So I learned from making this, but you know, it still works, and it's good practice, and the skills are completely transferable to if you were to buy your own metal and, you know, cut it out with an angle grinder knot or hand file. And so it's just good practice to try it out on these little guys first, not wasting a lot of money, but you're getting your practice in and finding out things that work and what don't work. So I highly recommend this if you're going to try to make some knives. Start with these first. If you mess up, you'll mess up on a $1 knife. Excuse me, you'll mess up on a really cheap knife and not an expensive. If you buy a bar that's like $30 of, you know, nice steel, and you mess up the heat treatment or you mess up the cut, and now you just have an old misshapen, incorrect blade that now you have to deal with later, make something else out of it, or try again. So now you're out more than $1. So my recommendation is, you know, go out and get some of these and try it out for yourself. It's pretty fun, and you'll get some cool knives. Alright, thanks for watching.